want your spouse to be gone 6 to 11 months at a time while being on a boat or being overseas in the freaking Arab countries? Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Space Buddies. I'm your host, Lay. If you're new here, this is a podcast geared towards military spouses and just sharing their stories, connecting each other via commonality. If you find value in this podcast, don't forget to like, subscribe, and just join us in this journey. Today's a very special episode. I have Madison here with me. She is a brand new military spouse, and she's here to tell us her journey and her experience. So tell us about yourself, Madison.
I am 20, and I just recently got married in July.
Congratulations.
My husband and I are still long distance, but I am a full-time student athlete. I also work outside of that, so there's always a lot going on. So many things happening in my life. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot about me. I usually just work, school, pretty much it.
So where are you from?
I am from San Antonio.
How long have you and your spouse been together?
We've been together for about a year and a half now, and it's been long distance pretty much the entirety of it.
So why has it been long distance? Is he deployed or is he
Stationed somewhere else? He is currently stationed in San Diego, and this year we're kind of going through the motions of getting ready to gear up for his first deployment. It's kind of a back and forth of trying to maintain and keep in contact with him while he still is going out and doing all of his underways and all of that while also being long distance. It works.
So not only are you guys doing long distance because it's San Diego and you're in San Antonio, I'm assuming you're in San Antonio because you're in school and you want to finish your education here. And then after you're done, I'm assuming you're going to go over there, or are you guys just planning on staying long distance?
I'm currently working towards my master's degree, and I'm on track to finish my master's degree when he comes back from deployment. So
Gotcha.
we both decided that because I am a student athlete, all of my school here is paid for. I won't have to pay any out-of-state tuition. I won't have to pay pretty much for anything school-wise, that I was just going to finish my degree here and then I'd move after I got my master's degree.
What surprised you the most about military life once you became a military spouse?
Paperwork and how much of it there was.
The paperwork sucks, especially when you just got married and then you not only have to do the regular married people stuff like changing your name and stuff like that, but you have to go to Deers, you have to get your military ID, you have to do all these crazy things.
And doing that while long distance is definitely a little bit harder
Oh my God.
because I grew up in a military family, so I kind of understand it a little bit, but at the
Okay.
same time, being in it on a spouse side is a little weird. And there were so many things I needed him to send me to be able to do this and to be able to do that. So there was a lot of emailing, faxing, just mailing in general. So the whole process, I feel like, just took 10 times longer. The paperwork was absolutely insane.
Especially being long distance. Did you guys ever let's just say that you wanted to move over there? Was there a conversation where you guys had to where you would transfer your credits to a school over there in San Diego and then you guys would live together? Or was this more of, I'm already in this specific, college right now or university. I'm going to finish here. You go over there. You do whatever the military tells you. And then I'll finish here. And then whenever I'm done with my education, I'm going to go over there.
Yeah, so there were many conversations about that. There were days where the distance would just get so hard for both of us, or
Yeah.
for one of us, and the other one was, okay with it at the time. And so we would have that conversation and be like, I just want to go now. Whenever we thought about it and we sat through it, he's going to be on a 6 to 9 to 10 to however many month
Yeah.
deployment he's going to be on. And we thought it wouldn't be the best idea because I'd be going to school and balancing trying to live in our own shared place without him there after just moving to a completely brand new city, brand new state where I wouldn't really know anybody. So having all of my school struggles on top of the emotional struggles of him being gone, we decided that it'd be better for me to be in San Antonio, home, surrounded by family. That way it wouldn't be as emotionally tolling for me. I'm a very emotional person, and my husband knows that. So just recently, we just went through him being on the boat for the first time, going through an underway for about a month. And that was our first time not having as much contact as we're used to. And that alone was really hard for me to deal with. I'm not a very social person. When I have
Mm-hmm.
my own set of people, I'm like, okay, that's who I'm going to turn to.
It makes sense. So, how did you guys meet? Did you expect long distance this early on in your marriage, or was it more of so it just hit you out of nowhere?
Do you want the story that I tell my family or the real story?
This is Base Buddies. We are raw and real girls. Tell us everything.
So, when my husband was still in A school, right before he moved from Pensacola back to California, he was adding a bunch of random people on Snapchat one day.
No way you guys met by chance.
And so then I was like, you know what? Okay, this guy looks cool. Added him back. We didn't talk for the first 2 weeks, and then we would send snaps back and forth. And I noticed that he was on a gaming console, and he had a game that I played very frequently at the time. And I asked him about it, asked him if he wanted to play, and then that night turned into over a 24-hour long Discord call. And then
Shut up.
immediately immediately from that moment on, we were like, at first we were like, okay, we're gonna play a joke on his friends. We ended up playing with his friends that night. We're like, okay, we're gonna play a joke on his friends saying that we're together just because his friends would absolutely lose their mind. And so we did that, and then it just evolved from there. The calls kept getting longer. It went from Discord to FaceTime to text messages. And then 2 months after we started dating, so we started dating August 27th, and
Mm-hmm.
November 2nd, I flew out to San Diego.
Was this
And
by
so
yourself?
my dad was like, that's a little sketchy. I'm gonna go with you. It was fun because me and my dad made a trip out of it as well. Being in San Diego, yes, I spent most of the time with my husband in San Diego, but
Mhm.
me and my dad also had 3 days in Vegas afterwards.
So you went and saw your spouse in San Diego and you went with your dad. When you saw him for the first time, what was your reaction? What was your first reaction?
So when I met him for the first time, my dad standing outside the San Diego International Airport, and he came with his best friend because me and his best friend over that course of 2 months ended up getting really close as well and becoming best friends as well. So
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to be there for that moment and recorded a video of that moment,
Oh, that's so
which
sweet.
to me, it's still one of my favorite videos to this day. When I initially saw him for the first time, he decided to run up and go behind me and scare me a little bit. So I was a little in shock. But throughout the video, you see me going from, holy crap, this is happening.
Yeah.
And so I was just super excited. I was in a completely new place that I'd never been before because I had never been to California before. So this was my first time in California, my first time seeing him. And it was so overwhelmingly joyous, I think is the
Oh,
best way to put it. It's
that's such
just
a
so
nice word.
overwhelmingly joyous.
Yeah. Wow, that's so nice. I'm so happy for you guys. So he was already stationed in San Diego before
Mhm.
you guys ever met or anything along those lines. And
Yeah.
you guys kind of started this relationship long distance and continued it being long distance while going into a marriage.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So when we first met, he wasn't in San Diego yet. He
Oh, okay.
was doing a cross-country road trip from Pensacola to California because he was stationed in Pensacola for A school and then he was in California. And we would have met in Texas, but I didn't meet him until after he drove through Texas.
Yeah.
So he already drove through Texas by the time we met, and I think he was somewhere in New Mexico when we first started talking. When we met, he was back home because he had saved up, I think, 2 weeks of leave before moving, and his family is in California. Like his family lives in California. They live
Yeah.
like an hour away. So when I first met him, I had no idea he was in the military. Like zero.
Oh, wow. So that kind of just hit you.
Zero until maybe 3 or 4 days after we started dating. I think we had talked about it, but our first long conversation was, I mean, 24 hours long.
Right.
I was exhausted probably when we mentioned what we did for work. So I was like, and then I saw him wearing his Navy hoodie that I now have.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Not, he's never gonna get it back, but I saw his Navy hoodie and I was like, "Are you in the military?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, he's like, "I told you this." I was like, I probably should have remembered that.
So, what's been the hardest part of being apart that people don't really talk about?
Whenever you're on a schedule of when you get to talk to each other and how long you get to talk to each other for, and that schedule gets disrupted, it's definitely harder than I ever imagined. So when my husband was on an underway, it went from I'd be able to call him right after I got out of work, and I'd be able to talk to him until he went into work. And then he'd call me when he got off of work. And then going from that to maybe getting to hear from him once or twice at random hours of the day, or getting to hear from him at 4 o'clock in the morning, instead of being able to have that constant communication. It's definitely a big change. For me, it was a lot harder when I would get off of work. The first person I'd call would be him. And so it was very weird, and there were a lot of silent car rides home. As a long distance couple, you strive on that communication. And we used to have so many arguments about how much communication we'd have. And then when you go to not having any communication, the 1 to 2 hours of being able to communicate that you'd have, you realize how much of it kind of impacted your day-to-day schedule.
Yeah.
Going from not having any puts it into perspective, having something, realizing it, to then regretting when you don't have it anymore.
So that's definitely something small that a lot of us take for granted on a day-to-day basis when we are with our partners, right? We get to see them, we get to talk to them all the time, but for you guys, it's a little bit different. And if certain conversations aren't necessarily had throughout the day, those small interactions could be a lot bigger. That's something that we definitely take for granted. So what do you do, or how do you cope on the days distance feels a lot heavier than usual?
It depends on how heavy it feels.
Right.
There are days where it feels really heavy to where I don't want to get out of bed. And there are days where it's like, okay, I understand that he's busy. I'm going to go make myself busy. So especially when he was gone, I was over at one of my high school best friend's house almost every night. We had a movie night one night, played Just Dance another night. It was always something different going on. And it definitely took my mind away from the fact that he was gone or the fact that he was busy. And it made the time go by a little bit faster. Meeting different spouses, I think, is a very big thing, but also sometimes it can make it worse, because you can find the spouses that, are very open and very welcoming. And then you have the other side of it that's very judgmental and especially when he was gone, I met a really good friend. She's become a really good friend to me now.
Oh,
who's
that's awesome.
Her husband is on the same ship as my husband.
Oh,
So
look at that.
we met each other, and it was Like we would text each other, asking each other how we were doing. We'd have long text conversations throughout the day just about our husbands, just about our own personal lives. And it made it feel like there was someone there who completely understood what was happening in that moment in time
Yeah.
because what I was going through, she was going through as well.
Mm. I love that though. I love that because that literally gives you a battle buddy, but like a spouse battle buddy, especially when they're like on the
Exactly.
same ship. You guys can like talk about it together. You guys can like whenever your spouses come back, you guys can just go together. That's so cute. I freaking love that. So, has distance changed the way that you communicate with your spouse or as a couple in general?
Yeah, it changes a lot of things. We try and find things to do that we're able to do together while being, which is kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah,
There's no really like hard or easy. It's just you got to find things that you're able to do together, like
that's
even
true.
being long distance. So my husband and I were both really big nerds.
Yeah,
So it's easy for us because we both play the same type of video games. We both watch the same kinds of movies. There's a show that we started watching together that has 7 seasons, and it's literally been our baseboard throughout our relationship. We're on the last 2 episodes, and we decided we're going to watch the last 2 episodes together. Balance communicating with each other and communicating with all of our other friends. We'll start playing a video game with his friends, or we'll start playing a video game and we'll start playing it with my friends. And so sometimes when it gets overwhelming to the point where there's always somebody else there, it gets a little hard. We're always on the phone with each other. Sometimes it gets a little aggravating when I have to yell his name 6 times for him to realize that I'm trying to say something,
yeah.
and vice versa. So
Have you learned anything new about your partner through being apart?
I don't really know if it's learned anything new, but there's definitely things that I've noticed. So he always has these, and he thinks it's so weird that I realize it, but I can always tell what kind of mood he's in based on the face he's making.
Yeah.
And so, but he's like, I don't change my facial expression. I'm like, yes, you do.
Yeah. As a wife, you know, you just know
Yeah.
it.
Also the fact that he sleep talks.
Oh,
So it was so funny the first time around that I figured it out. And then it became this ongoing thing. He'd wake up in the morning and he'd be like, what did I say? Because it's almost constant. And I think I have a list in my notes of just random things he'll say when he's sleeping. He did a Scooby impression in his
yeah.
sleep.
What the freak?
And I was like, do I even want to know what you were dreaming about? And he's like, apparently I was Scooby-Doo. I don't know. And the funny thing is he doesn't remember his dreams. So he'll wake up having no idea what he dreamt about last night. And then I'll tell him what he said. And he's like, I have no idea why I would have said that.
That is freaking hilarious. So, how do you take care of yourself when you're missing them the most?
I am a very emotional person.
Yeah.
And my husband is definitely my comfort person and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But when I miss him the most, it's always about keeping yourself busy
Yep.
and being able to focus on yourself more than focus on how much you're missing them.
Exactly.
And so, being with my husband, I've definitely grown to be more independent than I was.
Mm.
I know that I'll be able to take care of myself when he's gone. And I know I'll be able to emotionally regulate everything when he's gone because that was the hardest part for me with everything. And that's why I ended up booking a trip so fast when I first met him. He was really struggling with the fact of being long distance, and he was so upset about it one night. And then he went to bed. And I remember I got on the game with his friends, and I was like, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to book a plane ticket right now. Keeping yourself busy and just dragging yourself out of bed that morning is a start. And I used to have to remember that, and I'd have to remember being able to look at a picture of him and just be like, he wouldn't want me to be sad right now. He does
Oh.
not want me to be upset. And my high school athletic trainer was a Navy SEAL. He was a Navy SEAL and he was in the Navy for about 24 years. And during the first detachment, I did a lot of volunteering at my high school because I got my bachelor's degree in nursing, but specifically in
Oh,
sports medicine.
nice. Yeah,
So
that's
I
nice.
went and I helped out a little bit, and he told me something. He was like, "You have to remember, wives can't get packed in sea bags. Your wife can't fit in your sea bag." And it was
Yeah.
always because they have that big duffel bag, and he said it to one of his younger SEALs when he was in the military because he was missing his wife. And
Hmm.
he's like, you just got to remember that there are going to be hard times and there are going to be good times, but you just got to embrace the time that you are given, even when they're not there, to be able to benefit yourself.
Yeah, you gotta embrace the suck. My husband constantly he says that, yes, I'm doing this now, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not comparable because I'm going to be with you for the rest of my life. So one portion of my life does not determine the rest of it. That's a really beautiful way of looking at it, especially when being in this life and sometimes we can get stuck in the moment of, oh my God, this sucks so bad. I don't want this for the rest of my life. And the reality is that you're not going to have it for the rest of your life, right? You're just going to have it for that
Yeah.
specific moment. And in that specific moment, you're going to reap the benefits for the rest of your life. Do you ever feel disconnected or missing out on that normal married life?
When my husband moved out of the barracks, I remember thinking about it and I sat there and I cried and I'm like, I feel
Mm.
like I'm missing out on so many milestones in your life that I can't be there for. When he was on a detachment, his detachment was roughly around the time that the USS Lincoln was leaving port. And
Oh,
so
wow.
wives were sending their husbands off and all that. And I remember just looking at it and I'm like, I hate that I won't be there when you come home. That was always
Wow.
a big thing for me. I hate that I can't be there for you right now because you're going through this milestone of not only your career, but your life because it's something new for you. But at the same time, I know why. And this is a fraction of what the rest of our life is going to be. And my mother used to tell me something. She's like, you just got to go through the seasons. Each
Yep.
season's going to be different,
Yep.
but they come around like clockwork. You're going to be fine. And so we constantly have to look at it that way. It's not going to be forever because we still have the rest of our lives.
So, do you feel like you and your spouse are growing independently on your own, but also as a couple because of the distance?
Yes, I honestly would say so. The independence portion does take more than growing as a couple, just because of the fact that we are long distance. We still grow every day. There's always something new. Every day you're going to have different conversations. And it's just being able to still communicate about your life together while also living your lives apart. So we constantly talk about our future or when we're going to see each other, or it can be the smallest, most random things like what are we going to have when we finally have that big wedding? We grow together in the aspect of planning ahead, but we grow separately in the aspect of being able to prepare for that big plan at the end of the road.
That's beautiful. I love that. And so, shifting gears a little bit, what kind of support do you wish that military spouses in your position offered?
I think a lot of it is just being able to communicate with other military spouses who are going through the same thing because nobody is ever going to know exactly what you're going through. Nobody's ever going to have any
Nope.
kind of understanding of what's going on in your life, but there are some people who can have that same understanding whenever you're going through the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And which is why I think I got so close with the woman whose husband was on the same ship as mine, just
Yeah.
because, yes, we are in two separate relationships with two different people, but we have the same understanding of what's going on in each other's life. Being able to talk to other military spouses about things, whether it's the same situation or not,
Hmm.
because it's always going to be difficult. And unfortunately, in this life, they don't have an option whether the military comes first or you come first. I think as a collective group of military spouses, we all have to lift each other up in the times that each other is down and be able to be there whenever, one person is in need. Just because this life is hard enough as it is, it's too hard to go on it alone.
I feel like us as military spouses have to come together as one collective group and just support each other in every way that we can. Because even if, let's just say that my husband's not deployed, but my friend's husband is deployed, even if we're going through different situations, we both understand how that feels. We should all come together and support each other, even if we're not going through the same situation, because at one point or another, we are going to go through that same situation. Instead of being mean to one another, I think we should all just come together and just be one group and just lift each other up. But with that being said, what kind of advice would you give to a brand new military spouse facing long distance?
Just remember that distance isn't going to be forever. I was horrible inside the San Diego airport, and TSA probably hates to see me coming when I leave, but it's not going to be forever. You're not never going to see them again. And you have to remember that being apart gives you time to grow so that you can be able to be the best version of yourself in your marriage.
That's beautiful. Oh my goodness. So, what's one thing you wish that somebody had told you before you entered this life?
The stereotypes are constantly going to keep coming, whether or not you listen to them or not. They're always going to be there, and someone's
Yep.
always going to say something, and someone's always going to try and put their nose in your business. And just to let it go, just to not listen to them, because not all people have the same experiences.
The most common one that I say all the time is like, you knew what you signed up for. Or not me, but the one that, that everybody says all the time.
I fell in love with the man, not the military.
Exactly.
Also, especially when your spouses are gone, it is always said, and it's like, oh, well, it's not that long. He'll be back soon.
Right.
I'm like, you want to switch places to feel the emotions that I am feeling right now?
Exactly. Do you want your spouse to be gone 6 to 11 months at a time while being on a boat or being overseas in the freaking Arab countries?
Then the people are like, oh, well, you'll see him again. Yes,
Just fuck
but
off.
not now. I'm not seeing him right now. So I'm going to continue to miss him.
I miss my husband. Oh, well, you're going to see him in 6 months. Well, you see your spouse all the freaking time. Have your spouse be gone on a ship in the middle of nowhere for 6 months, or have him be gone for 11 months in a Arab country and see how that works out for you. So, to basically wrap this up, what keeps you hopeful during this season of being long distance? He's getting ready to deploy. Everything just piling up all at once.
The only thing that really keeps me hopeful, other than to see him, is just looking back on this year and realizing how fast it went. And knowing that it's just going to be the same year, everything is just going to mold into one. It flashed before my eyes. And I don't want to take the year for granted just because he's gone. And, I have to keep in mind that only a year. Time is probably the worst thing you can keep track of when someone is gone. And so I just have to remember I'm going to wake up the next day and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And whether he's here, whether he's gone, that year is just going to keep going. Obviously, it's going to feel like it dreads some days, but that's every year.
Do you guys have any plans of living together after his deployment?
Yes, so we
Woo!
actually already have it completely planned out that I will be moving to San Diego when he comes back from deployment. And then I think we haven't really decided whether or not we want to have our big wedding 3 or 4 months after, or if we're just going to
Yeah.
wait the other year. But I do have plans to finally move to San Diego, knowing that
Yeah.
I just have to wait for this year to pass and everything will be fine.
Yeah. Just one more year. That's crazy to me. You are so strong. Where can people follow you on TikTok?
So my social handles are different for both Instagram and TikTok. So for Instagram, it's MADS dot
Hmm.
A. And then for TikTok, it's Mads MADS underscore bird. BYRD, not BIRD.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Madison, for coming on this episode of Base Buddies. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your beautiful, beautiful story of you and your spouse being long distance, along with this military lifestyle. It's definitely something to admire. And thank you for following us and for listening to this episode. If you found value in this episode, please feel free to subscribe, like, and share. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.